Okay, I got one coat of black on it. It came out pretty nice actually. It looks pretty good. There's a few little spots that I see I'm going to touch up. I think I'm going to go ahead and do them now. I could wait and do it later because like I say, I'm just doing what's under the cab for now. But I think I'm going to go ahead and touch up a few little spots and make it really nice and solid. Like I say, there's a couple little spots. There's a spot over here that I missed that's real thin. A few others like that. So I think for today, I don't really have anything else to do. So I'm going to go ahead and put the second coat on this, let it dry a few days, and then I'll be able to set the cab on it so it'll be done. Okay, today I'm cleaning and prepping some of the parts that also go under the cab. This is the emergency brake assembly. It works that, and this is the exhaust hanger. So I'm going to go ahead and there's a little pin that goes in that. I'm going to get these painted today. Get those back on the truck before the cab comes down. So. Okay, before I drop the cab down today, I painted this is exhaust hanger bracket. I got it painted up. I've got new hardware. It goes in these holes here. So I'm gonna put that in. I've got my emergency brake cable that goes there. So I'm gonna get those installed, then I'll be ready to drop the cab down. And where the surface meets up, I'm putting a little bit of grease on those just to help rust prevention in the future. So, well, starting to look like a new truck. New hardware, nice new paint. Looking pretty good. Okay, since I had to do repair work on my mounts, I've added extra plates on them. So the rear is an 1/8 inch thicker and the front's about 1/4. So for the spacers that go in the bushings, I've had to make custom ones that are a little bit taller to make up for that space. So anyway, just keep that in mind if you're buy these aftermarket things and you add extra space, you need to lengthen these. So luckily I had like a walking stick made out of aluminum. Okay, I got the cab ready to go down. I got the mounts ready and placed, and these bolts are too short. Those are the ones that came with it. Those will need to be lengthened too, but that'll just help me line it up when it goes down to hit my mark. So anyway, let's let it down and see what it looks like again. Okay, that went down super smooth. It went right back in place. All the bolts lined up and hit their marks, so we are good. I'll get this wood out of the inside, but everything lined up nice. Hard to see there, but anyway, we are good. So I'll get some bolts tomorrow to bolt that down, but it's good for now. Like I say, I'll get this wood out, and then I think the next thing I'm gonna work on is the frame. I want to try to get this back half done so I can get the bed on it. So I want to go through the rear end, the springs, repair that, get that painted, get the bed set on it, and then I'll free up some space here in the shop, and then I'll work on the front after that. Okay, the real challenge of the day I think is going to be getting this out of here. I stripped a lot of the screws, putting it together because I had a bad bit, so I don't know if I can get it out past the post. I guess I can roll it forward. Well, those are in the way, so I don't know. I gotta try to see if I can get this out in one piece, or if I'm gonna have to cut it, or what. So let's start this challenge. Okay, today I'm working on the gas tank relocation. This gas tank, I think it's for 72 to 78. I think it's what they sell. LMC sells for the relocation, but it has a nice bracket right here with bolt holes already built into it. Those lined up with the frame on each side, so I was able just to drill holes and put bolts there. I'm going to put the bolts in on the other side. I'm going to weld them at the top, so when I have to work on this, I only have to deal with the nuts. That way the bolts will stay in place. I'm going to do that. I'm also going to take straps. I'm going to go ahead and strap it on both sides, kind of where it's these two spots right here. I got some aluminum for that. So I'm going to start working on that next and see where we get. Okay, I'm going to be running two of these aluminum straps, one here and one there. This is 16th by 1.5 inch aluminum. I'll just fold it over here and I'll put a bolt on there. I'll weld another bolt through and it'll bolt there. Then I go under, same thing on the other side. The bolt on the other side will have a lot of threads on it so I can pull up and make it tighter. So, okay, I got the front angle in place. I'll hold the front of the straps. This is just 1.5 inch angle. These bolts I'm not going to weld in because I'll be able to access these from the other side under the frame. I can get to it. I'm going to double bolt it right there, so I still don't have to use a wrench on it, hopefully. But these bolts there and there, once the bed's on top of this and the gas tank, those will be nearly impossible to get to. So those I'm going to weld in place so I don't have to worry about getting a wrench on them later. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the gas tank, get all this stuff welded up, and then we'll be able to mount the gas tank and work on the straps to hold it in, and then we'll finish it up. Okay, I got everything welded in. These, I just put a bolt on the back side with a lock washer so they won't move, so I can just thread those up so they're nice and tight. Got those welded in, and then those welded in. So everything's welded, so I don't have to worry about anything moving. So now I'm going to jack it up, get the gas tank in it, and work on the straps. Okay, I got my strap made. On the back side, where there's adjustment, I took a riv nut and put in it, but then I drilled out the thread so it's smooth. And the reason I did that, to keep it from twisting back and forth a little bit, to help kind of support it. There we go. And then that'll go up and down there, but that'll just help kind of support it left to right, sort of like that. And I'll have a block on the bottom, but that's just to give it a little bit more support. But anyway, it's going to work. So I just need to duplicate this bracket, and then the gas tank project will be finished. Okay, I got both straps made. Not really bolted on, but just test fit basically. But it's going to work out, so that's good. Okay, now that I have the gas tank done, next thing I want to do, I want to pull the cover on the rear end, check out the differential gears. Then I'm going to pull out the wheels and the brakes, check all those. I need to get the emergency brakes hooked up. I'm going to get all that squared away first and make sure I can hook up all my cables and all that. Then I'm going to pull that completely out, the rear end, the springs, redo all those, and then repair the frame. So I want to get everything done on the rear end now is the next phase. So once I have all this done and finished, I can set the bed on it, start working the bed, and that'll free up some space for me. So it's kind of what I need. So I just need to get this done and painted, get the bed on it, and that'll help. So okay, first inspection, it looks pretty good actually. I'll get in deeper and look at it, but I don't see any obvious wear yet, but it doesn't seem worn. It almost looks like it's brand new. So I'll dig into it a little bit more, clean it up and see, but the oil was pretty clean when it came out of it, so it wasn't dirty at all. It was purple, so I'm not sure what they had in it. It could have been replaced at some point. Maybe it wasn't that old, but I mean, it looks practically new. I mean, it doesn't look worn at all. I mean, it almost looks like it's never even been used. I don't know. I'll dig into it and see what I can learn. Okay, a quick update on the rear end. You saw when I had the cover off, the ring and pinion is basically brand new. Everything, it looks like they replaced everything inside of that right before they quit driving it. The brakes, when I pulled the drums off, the brakes were practically brand new. I don't think they had many miles on them, but they've probably been here since 1988, so they were new, but they were old, so they sat there a long time. I'm going to go ahead and replace everything, so I had to order all those pieces. I had to order the drums. They had to be a special order because they're not an off-the-shelf part, but I've got all this ready for paint. I've got the rust prevention on it, so I'm going to go ahead and paint this today, let it dry good for a few days. When the parts get here, then we'll put this rear end brake assembly together, and this will all be painted, and then we'll paint the center section. Then I can drop it from the truck and start the frame repair. Okay, when I got this truck, the front and rear hubs, they look like they were kind of painted a rust color, kind of an orange color, but that actually is just rust that came through the white. When you clean it off, it's white paint, but because they look like they were kind of copper and rust, I kind of like the look. So what I decided to do on them, I'll go ahead and paint them the way they were original when I got it, which is rust color. So I've got this copper, kind of high heat temperature, so that's what color I'm going to paint my hubs. And it's this, I'll paint my brake pads, or the brake drums too, but it's just a high heat engine. But I like the look of it, so it'll just be an accent color. I'll go ahead and get these painted, and then the inside of the drums I'm going to paint with the hammered silver. Okay, now I'm getting ready to paint the silver, the hammered silver, so I made a little dog cone there for my previous painted part. So let's get this painted and see how it looks. Okay, we're back on the truck today. This is the second set I ordered. I got my brake drums for the back of it. I had a hard time finding these. I ordered one set through O'Reilly's, and they were the wrong ones. and they couldn't get these. Napa couldn't get these. I ended up finding them at AutoZone, and here's the part number. If you're working on a 66 Ford pickup truck with a Dana 60 rear end, these are the ones you need. Unfortunately, a set of these costs with shipping, because you couldn't pick them up in the store, was $354 for a pair of these, which is ridiculous, but it is what it is. The lip right here is a little tight going around the hub there. So I'm just taking a Dremel and I'm lightly going around it, and then I got 60 grit on this. I'm just taking just a little bit off just to make it slide on there a little easier so it doesn't get on there. But then I'm going to paint these today, and then tomorrow I have all the internals except for the hardware I'm missing for the emergency brake. So I'm going to have to figure that out. But I got everything basically to get this back together except for the emergency brake. So I'll get these reamed out a little bit, and then I'm going to paint them, and then we'll move on to getting brakes installed. Okay, here they are painted. I just painted them to match the hubs, that kind of rust color. These will be behind the wheels. You really won't see them too much. And if there's holes in the wheels that I get, there'll be a little orange that'll peek out, so I think it'll look okay. Not traditional to paint them like this, but I'm being a little different, so it is what it is. Okay, I also got a coat of paint on the back side of these. I'll paint the whole axle later. I just want to get this so I can get the hardware on it painted. So I got both sides of that painted. So it's ready to start installing the brake hardware once the paint dries. Okay, after I got these painted, I wrapped them up, and I've been continuing to clean the rear end. I just wanted to get most of the dirt and grime off of it. So I've got that pretty much done. Obviously, when I cut this off, cut these U-bolts and pull this, I'll clean that. But I've got most of it done. I cleaned the drive shaft. I'm going to pull it off. I found an original part number still on the drive shaft. It's 0TA4602AN. When it's wet, you can see it better, but that's kind of neat. I think when I paint the drive shaft, I'm going to put the number back on it just because. But I'm going to pull the drive shaft out. I'm going to go ahead, I think at this point, while it's up in the air, I'm going to clean the bottom side of the frame, wire brush it, because once I lower it to cut all these parts off, I won't be able to raise it again because it'll be too front heavy. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done, and then I'm going to go ahead, instead of putting the brakes together, I'm still waiting on parts for the emergency brake part of it. It's ready to go together, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and drop it, disassemble everything here, and repair the frame right here. So that's going to be the next step. I dropped it back down on the ground. I had to put it down on the ground so I can get the bolts out of the drive shaft because they were turning because there wasn't weight on it, so I'll be able to get the drive shaft out. I got the wheels on, I got it down. I'm going to start pulling the rear end and all the springs and everything off of it, and to work on the metal there. I do like my painted hubs there with the old rims. They look pretty good, I think. But I'm going to run a different set of rims on here. Not 100% which sure. I'm kind of torn between two different rims that I'm going to get for it. But anyway, it would look good if I ran it like that. I'd be happy with it. But we're going to do something different. So, okay, I'm pre-loosening all of my bolts. And on these are so snug, I'm having to use a very large breaker bar to get them, but I'm gonna get all these loose first before I take everything else off. That way it'll be easy to come off. Okay, I gotta get this center section out to be able to repair the frame. So on the other side, I cut these heads off, and I try to knock them through with a big hammer and a chisel and with a air chisel, and nothing worked. So I had to end up drilling them all out one at a time. So it takes a little bit of time to drill them out completely through, but that's what I'm going to have to do. So it didn't take that long. These will be harder because I have to drill that way. I have leverage going down on it, but going this way is going to be a little harder. But I think I'm just going to have to drill them all out because once the head's gone, they still do not budge. Okay, to get my rivets out, I've had to drill them out. So that's what one looks like after it's came out. There's one when it's drilled inside there. Once I get them out, I can take my punch and just knock them through with a big hammer. Okay, now I can finally see what I'm working with here. The rest of the day I'm going to evaluate what to do, how to repair this. It seems simple. The only thing that kind of complicated it, I know on the back side I want to put a plate in past all of this, past where it bolts in. So there will be a plate on the back side back there, and then I'll cut this plate out and weld it in flush because the mount needs to go flush to the metal there. But what complicates it is it's indented, it's embossed right here. You can kind of see sort of like it is right here. So the back side, that's not flat, that's about a 1/2 inch raised on the back side, so something flat won't go against it because it'll hold it out. So I think I'm going to have to cut those out in order to get the plate on the inside to go flush. But also what I have to worry about, this frame is just kind of floating in the air. I'm actually using the axle to keep it down because it wants to tip up a little bit. I've got the front on some 4x4 blocks, so it is kind of off balance a little bit. It's not going to go anywhere, but I'm worried about this when I cut this out, if this could bend or move. So I've got to think of a way to maybe tie the back end down or tie this down so it doesn't move when I'm welding all this. So I need to try to keep this straight, so I need to think about that. So it's just going to be a thinking process for probably a couple hours, probably, by the time I think of everything. But I'll start cutting some of this out and making rooms. I'm going to mark these holes. I'm trying to leave these holes here when I put the back plate. I can drill through these holes, that way everything's located where it should be. I'll probably also take some measurements just in case. But anyway, that's the plan, is to start working through these two holes and getting them fixed. So, okay, here's the plan I think I came up with. I got this bar, I'm either gonna tack weld it or clamp it to the top of the frame to keep the frame from moving. So I'll probably tack weld it. I'm gonna cut out this, what looks like an A section first. I'm gonna cut that out, which will get rid of the part that's recessed in there, so I'll have a flat surface on the back. So I'm going to cut that out. That'll allow me to put a plate behind it, which will be this line here. It'll be similar to that. I can put that in. I'll kind of tack it in place, and I'll drill my holes so I know, so it's perfectly in place, and I'll mark it so I can move it. Then I'll temporarily remove that, and then this line across here, up around all this, I'm going to cut this out and up through here on this side and put a plate back in that so it'll be flush with this, so the mount will line up to it, and then I'll fully weld that on the back side. I think on the bottom I'm going to put a little bit of a turn on the bottom piece in here to give it a little bit more strength across the bottom. I don't think I need to do it along the top because it has braces. It has braces on the top that goes through here too, so I think it'll be strong enough. But that's going to be the plan. Okay, so here's the plan I came up with for the frame, to fix the frame. I went ahead and took this bar. This is like 3/16, 1.5 by 1.5. I tack welded it. I clamped it too. You can see I clamped it. But also welded it to the top to keep the frame from flexing because I've got to cut quite a bit out. So here I've took a hole saw, and I'm getting this indentation part where it's dented in. I'm cutting those out slowly, one at a time, just using the hole saw, I think with either 1.5 or 1.25. So I'm just drilling those out, and then I'll be able to cut across there and get that piece out. I ordered my steel for this, so I'll pick it up in the morning, so I'll be able to start getting this together. But anyway, this is the first step, cutting this center section out so I can place the back piece, get the holes lined up, and then go from there. Okay, we got it all cut out, ready for the new piece of metal, which I'll get tomorrow, but that's what we ended up with, a great big hole, but it's ready. It's all flat now. There's no recess part. So tomorrow I'll get the new metal and we'll just start working it in, cutting it out, and hopefully we'll get at least one side done tomorrow. Okay, to start repairing the frame, I'm starting with a 2x8 3/16 piece, and made a little template. And so I'm just cutting this corner out. I'm cutting down to the corner right here, all along the side. So this will be the bottom part of the frame to give it strength there. So this is the starting point. All right, where these replacement parts go, the frame kicks up in the back right there slightly where this patch needs to go. So I kind of notched that and bent it up a little bit. I'll weld it, but it gives a little bit of a kick up in it. So I'll get that welded, but that's necessary to fit in that little notch in the frame there. Okay, I got the plate clamped in. It fits in there nice. It's nice and solid. I clamped it in. Now to drill these holes out, now that I clamped it in here, obviously I can't get to these holes. I drilled some 1/8 inch pallet holes. I'm using Clecos to go in there to hold the plate in place like that. After these are in place, I can pull those clamps off and this piece won't go anywhere. I can drill these holes and then I can cut all this out, and then the holes will be lined up because they'll go back in place with the Clecos, so that'll line everything up so I don't have to worry about anything getting out of line. So okay, all my holes line up good. So everything's perfect on here, and it'll always line up with these. So now I can cut out all the bad metal here. on the outside piece, get that trimmed up, cut straight across there. Okay, I got both the inner and the outer plate made. I went ahead and drilled them. I marked it and drilled it on the drill press because it's much easier to drill that 3/16 on the drill press than here. So anyway, everything fits nice. All the holes line up. These holes are slightly undersized, so even if they were slightly off, they need to be drilled out to 1/2 inch later. I'm going to bevel both sides of the frame and this piece real good on this so I can get a nice deep penetrating weld around this. Then I'll grind this side smooth on it. That way you won't tell that it was even fixed. It'll just be nice and smooth. So anyway, the only thing left really is to start welding. So that'll be the next step. I need to clean up the back side, but basically that's it. And I'll repeat the process on the other side and we'll have the frame repaired. Okay, I got my plates made. I went ahead and put the high temperature paint on the back of them before I weld them in. So I'm going to let these dry, and then I'm going to go sand the frame and get it prepped. Okay, I got the patch panel ready to weld in. I went here and clamped it on all 4 corners and tack welded it already on the back side. It's lined up with the cleat goes good, so everything's in position. And I put some bolts here where I drilled the holes to pull that tight. So that's tight, all ready to weld up. So now all I gotta do is weld her up. Okay, we got the driver's side of the frame patched and repaired. Came out really nice. You can't even tell it was even repaired, which is what I was going for. So it's nice and smooth, it's flush, so the plate will go back on it. You can see where I welded on the other side there, the rings. I got good penetration, it welded up good. But basically this side is done. I'll show you the back side. So welded all the way across. Came out nice. I'll get another view of that. But basically now I'm just going to start the process all over on the other side. Well, my bar, do the same thing. So this is a good place to stop this video. So I'll just go ahead and work on that side today, get that done. So in the next video, what you'll see is I'll get the suspension rehung. I'll get this frame painted. I'll refurbish everything that I need, the springs and the different fasteners and hardwares, things I'm doing. I'll get, and I'll have the rear end back up under it. So that'll be on the next one. So hopefully at the end of the next video, the whole back of the truck will be done. So we can move on to the front, or I probably maybe might work on the steering column. I'm not sure, but the back of the truck will be done and to be ready for the bed, which is the most important part because that's taking up a lot of space in the corner. So I can get the bed dropped over here, and that's going to be a big burden off my shoulder to free up some space. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.